Hello, Logic Up, logical people. Good morning. Good to see you again. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. Here, as you know, we talk about logical things that we use our brain to figure things out, to notice even things in our society, so that we can better deal with the situations at hand. Today, the subject is going to be helping behavior. Is that good or bad? Now, of course, the first inclination when you mention helping behavior is overwhelmingly that's good, right? Of course, it makes sense, right? Common sense tells you that if you help somebody, that's good. Why is that bad? Okay. But I want you to think for a second, okay? I want you to think and analyze, okay, and notice things that are happening in order to formulate what really is happening when you're helping somebody, okay? Especially nowadays, the prevailing culture today is great. It's inclusion, it's helping people in need, it's non-judgmental. All those things are very good. I mean, I grew up in an environment where you know helping behavior was not talked about. I mean, there were people that help others, of course, but the prevailing, it wasn't advertised as, there was no shaming somebody for, you know, for criticizing others, especially discriminating, racial, whatever, ethnic, sexual discrimination. There was no shaming of those people, so they kept doing it. It's very annoying back then. So in a way, I'm glad that today things have changed. Things have changed today for the better, and that is, people are a bit more understanding. At least they say so. Of course, a lot of people really don't care, but it's a trend. They're afraid to be ridiculed, to be shamed, so they too jump on the bandwagon and say, "Oh yeah, helping behavior is good. I try to help people, and racial discrimination is bad." Things like that, right? They say it, but do they do it? That's another question, okay? But anyways, the subject is helping behavior. Why is that good? Why is that bad? Well, I already told you, we already know, common sense will tell you that if somebody's in need, then you need to help them, get back on their feet. And, we talked about the homeless before and, helping them getting back on their feet. But here's a problem, okay? The question is, are we helping them to get back on their feet? Are we enabling them to continue with that lifestyle? Okay? Because helping behavior has a double-edged sword. Okay? Let me give an example. Years ago, a friend of mine, actually, he was the first sergeant in my unit. I was in the Air Force. And I was an executive officer, or actually I was a section commander. For those of you who have served in the military or been in the Air Force, a section commander is a junior officer, the rank of lieutenant to captain, that takes care of the HR part of members of his unit, to help the commander. Okay, you have the commander who's a lieutenant colonel or colonel, and then you have his executive officer or a section commander. A section commander has more power than an executive officer because section commander is on what they call G series orders. Okay, it is a legal authority for the section commander to take legal action against a member, for infractions such as, say DUI or doing illegal stuff, while they serve in the Air Force. The section commander has the authority over members up to a certain rank, like I think it's to E5, which is a technical sergeant. Okay, so a section commander has the authority to put anybody from technical sergeant rank below to jail. Of course, he has to consult the lawyers, the base attorney's office, the JAG, before he can do that. He can't just, at will, you know, he's just an enforcer of the law. Okay, let's put it that way. And he has the legal authority to do so. Okay, so that's the section commander, all right? Now, as a section commander, I used to work closely with the first sergeant. The first sergeant is the guy that takes care of the welfare of the enlisted troops. The privates. The lower ranking guys, all the way up to, technical sergeant. Because the first sergeant is a rank above that, and above. So first sergeant is usually a master sergeant or a senior master sergeant. Anyways, just a little bit of lesson for you to know about the military. But anyways, I got to work very closely with the first sergeant, and he told me about this. Okay, I know that might be irrelevant, the military background, but he was getting up in his senior years, and he was getting ready to retire from the Air Force. So he's looking around to for his next chapter in his life. So he's looking around to open a business or open a restaurant. So that's how he came across with a lot of restaurant owners and talk to them and try to get into the business. So and then he found this out, okay, which is relevant to what we're talking about, the helping behavior. There's this restaurant owner who has a big heart, okay. So he recognized the homeless people, the people that didn't have enough to eat. So what he did was every afternoon, at the close of his restaurant, or evening at the close of his restaurants, whatever food he had left, he would bring them out to the back of his restaurant for the homeless and for people in need to come and and get the food. Sometimes he has great food. I mean, gourmet kind of stuff, but they left over. He couldn't sell them, and then he had to get rid of them at the end of the day. So he said, "Hey, why not? Why don't I call these homeless people and people in need of food, and they just come and get it." Great concept from the surface, right? The guy is an awesome, responsible, caring guy, that helps society. Okay, on the surface it looks that way, but guess what happened? Guess what happened when he did that? People start to figure out that, hey, instead of me going to this restaurant, I could just wait till the end of the day and get it for free, right? Not everybody did that, but a lot of people did that. They're like, yeah, well, why should I pay for it? I just wait till the end of the day because they always have things left over and pretty good food. So they did that, and as more and more people did that, he started to lose money because nobody goes to his restaurant anymore. They just wait till the end of the day. So then after he lost so much money, he decided he's not going to do it anymore. You see how helping behavior could backfire. It often encourage freeloaders, right? But the question is, did this encourage freeloading behavior that wasn't there before, but now it is? Or are freeloaders always around? They're always looking for opportunities like that. I think it goes kind of both ways, But the point of the matter is, the bottom line is that he didn't do that anymore because he was losing money. He's a restaurant owner, and his primary job is to run the restaurant, is to generate income for himself, right? So he can take care of his family. But by doing that, his income level started to go down, and if he didn't stop, his business would have folded, and he wouldn't have the source of income, nor be able to help. You see that? Helping behavior can often backfire. Here's another example more recently. We have a big homeless problem everywhere in the United States now, right? Everywhere. It doesn't matter. Even at rich locations, okay? Walmart is generous enough to allow homeless people who live out their cars to park in their parking lots at night, okay? Great concept. Walmart is a great company for doing that, okay? For doing that, they're generous. They have a big heart, okay? Sounds great, right? Because at night, the parking lots are empty. Why not let them, camp overnight there, and then in the morning they just leave, and then you can receive regular customers. Guess what happened recently? Some dumbhead, okay, used a stove to cook You know, he's one of the homeless guy who had a stove. He took it out of his car. He cooked, grill, whatever, and then before the stove, was cool enough, he packed it in his car while it's still hot. It started a fire in his car. Okay, next to his car is another car with 2 kids sleeping in it. His car was in flame. It spread over to the other car and engulfed the kids too. Okay, and guess what? Now the mother of the kids sue Walmart. She can't sue the homeless guy next to her because he ain't got no money. Okay, so then her lawyer says to sue Walmart. So now Walmart has to defend itself in court. That costs money. Whether it wins or not, it costs money. Okay? And if Walmart loses, they most likely will lose because it happened on their property, even though it's not their fault. Okay? So then they will end up having to pay some money to this lady who lost 2 children. They try to help. Walmart try to help, and yet now they have to pay. So guess what they're gonna do? They either have to begin hiring safety, guards, right, to walk around there all night to make sure that nobody starts a fire. That costs money, right? That costs money to hire guards to do that. Or Walmart can just say, nope, we're just gonna cordon off. We won't allow anybody to park in there anymore. So the homeless will lose. See, the rest of the homeless population will lose. You see the kind of, you can't really even help people without incurring losses for yourself. So why should you? That's why a lot of people nowadays, they don't help at all. Because why should they? They're putting themselves at risk for doing that. So helping behavior is not always good. In fact, nowadays, especially, it incur cost to it. Okay. So then it begs the question: if you look at closely, if you look at helping behavior, okay, not only does it have costs like that, but the problem with helping behavior is that it often does not take into account the totality of the picture. It's like a Band-Aid fix that fix only one small thing, if that, but then it create repercussions in the entire system that would screw up the entire system, and it ends up not helping at all. This is why Los Angeles is spending $3 billion on the homeless issue, yet they create more problems. I'll give you an example. Okay? Because Los Angeles spends so much money to help the homeless, not only to try to build shelter for them, brand new, okay, and to also provide them healthcare, free mental health care, counseling, free clothing, free, everything. So that's why it costs so much money, So then what happens? A lot of homeless people from other states that don't have those benefits, they move to LA. They move to California to take advantage of that. So what happens to the homeless population in California? It increased, right? Hawaii has it happen. Pull it up, okay? Look up on the internet. Hawaii has that problem, okay? Can you imagine? Hawaii's in the middle of the ocean, but yet the homeless find their way there. They actually fly there to take advantage. Well, it costs money to fly there. It costs a few $100s, right? But they do. They somehow, come up with a few $100s to jump on a plane and fly to Hawaii so they can be homeless in Hawaii. It's more beneficial. For one, the weather's better, right? They can stay outside all they want, just in a tent, out on the beach somewhere, right? But here's the problem. The more of them are out there on the beach, the more crowded it's going to be. And then, the cops are going to come and they're going to, get rid of the homeless, okay? Make camping out on the beach illegal. Again, you camp out on the beach illegal, then you infringe on the rights of others. And here's another thing that happened. So then Hawaii implemented the law that says you can't sleep on the beach overnight. The target was the homeless, right? But guess what happened? A lot of tourists got arrested. Did you know that? A lot of tourists got arrested for strolling on the beach after hours, late at night, and then, they just fell asleep on the beach. They got arrested for that, and they had to stay for the court date. Can you imagine that? You see, it infringed on the rights of ordinary people, right? Ordinary tourists that bring money to Hawaii, but yet they got arrested, for simply sleeping on the beach. Well, they illegalized that because of the homeless. They didn't want the homeless to sleep on the beach. That's why they made that law. But that law had unintended consequences, just like what I was talking about. Every time you try to help somebody, there's always unintended consequences, that you didn't think about. You cannot anticipate. Okay, it has repercussions, especially when it's taken out of context, when the helping behavior it changes, the whole system. It disrupts the system, and the system cannot respond to it. And that's why, rich people with the power and the money can often inadvertently now, it's not that they some of them have very good hearts. They try to do something, and because they have the money, what they do is usually bigger than what ordinary people can do, right? But that's the problem. The bigger the helping behavior, the more adverse effect it may have on the system. Okay? So then you have unintended consequences that infringe on the rights of ordinary people. You see? So I'm not saying that you shouldn't help, but be thinking about that. This channel is about logic up, right? Logical. Think. All right? Think of the repercussions. It's not as simple as, oh, I see the homeless. Let me give them money. It's kind of like birds, right? You see a lot of places they have signs that say, please do not feed the birds. Why? Is that immoral? Why can't I feed the birds? They're hungry. I want to feed the birds. They're cute little birds. They need food. Why are you preventing me from feeding them? Are you immoral? No. The reason why is because, first of all, when you feed birds, usually humans feed birds with human food, okay? Which is unhealthy for the birds, right? It causes all kinds of health problems for them, fattening and things like that. Secondly, it attracts other birds from everywhere else that come and, have droppings everywhere, which then it requires, you to hire people to clean up the droppings. That costs more money for that community. And then they have to raise, revenue to do that. Either the homeowner association, they raise that price, or, if it's a city, then it's tax. And, it's a big mess. And it's not helping the animal, because it actually makes them sick and they die, because of human food. All right? So you understand the implication is not as simple. It's very naive. It's like a little kid. All right? A little kid sees something and they like to help, which is their good intention. I don't have a problem with that. Good kids, very good. But oftentimes they don't understand the implication, the repercussion, the domino effect it has later that is more detrimental than it helps. So I just want you guys to be thinking about that. It's not that simple. Everybody wants to help the homeless, but really they really don't want to get rid of the homeless because they don't want to see it, right? Like I said before in my other video, one guy complained that he was taking his daughter to a Japanese sushi restaurant, and this homeless guy camped out right in front, stunk up the whole place. He's so disgusted he can't even go in and eat, so he went somewhere else. Okay, he just want to get rid of that guy, all right? But he just sounded like he's all caring and everything, but he didn't really want to hear the real solution, or even discussing how we're gonna do that. He doesn't want to hear it, When I made suggestions in there, he accused me of being philosophical, and he said, "Well, this is not a philosophy, site." Well, the reason why he said that is because he has a very short attention span, like most people today. And when they see you talk about things long-winded, they think it's a philosophy. When in reality, I was just trying to lay out the implications and how do we go about doing it. Because here's what's going to happen if this happens, And simply, I just trying to point that out but apparently he got offended, because it was too involving. He just want to snap his finger and and be done with it. But you can't. There's a lot of issues in society that cannot be solved with a snap of a finger. That cannot be solved with a band-aid fix. That cannot be solved even with $3 billion poured into it. Okay, because people just, if they frustrate me because they don't understand the implication of what's going on. When you do something, especially if you spend a lot of money, if you have a lot of power, and you do something in society, it always have repercussions that you don't anticipate. Now you got to stop and think things through before you implement the program, because if you do that, it's going to have implications later on that you have no idea, and then it create more problems, and then you implement more programs to fix that particular problem, but then it creates more problems. There's a domino effect, and pretty soon the problems are so freaking big that you can't solve it. That's the homeless problem we have today. They have no solution. Their solutions are haphazard, not coordinated, not thought out carefully. They just throw money at it because politicians, right? They get more votes if they do that, right? To say that, hey, look at me, I did, I put $3 billion in the homeless program. I did this for the homeless, this and that. And they don't talk about the implication, the negative implication by doing that. But they don't care because they already got votes. They don't care. They're already in office, right? They're getting paid, right? So, and that's the way our society is today. And I just want everybody to think, man. Think. This is why I'm doing this channel. Okay, logic up. Think beyond just your nose. Okay, because oftentimes you get into trouble too in your private life because you don't think. You don't think ahead. What would happen if I do this, or if I don't do this? What would happen down the road? Okay, they don't think. They're just very reactive. Impulsive, right? Most people today are very impulsive. They're reactive. They just do things because they feel like it right at that moment, and they justify it by saying, "Well, it's good because I'm helping." Well, are you? Are you helping in the big picture? Or are you creating more problems? You see? So I'm not, like I said, I'm not discouraging people to help. Help, but think first before you help, right? So the best solution is, here's the key, okay, to the best solution to any helping behavior. Think about the implication, and usually help people who can help themselves. Help them, provide them with the tools so they can help themselves. That is the best solution. That is the only solution, really. That has no implication. Okay? Right? We saw what happened during the pandemic, where the government give out free money for small businesses so that they do not fall under, right? So that they can create jobs, right? So that people, have income. All sounds good, right? Sounds great. The government is helping. Why is that bad? But guess what? You get freeloaders. You get businesses that don't need it. They already are doing well. And since, the government didn't distinguish between businesses that need help and those that don't need help, at least at first. So what happens? The guys that don't need help take in hundreds of thousands, in some cases, even millions of dollars of government help. And then they go and they buy themselves a Lamborghini. They go on vacation. They buy houses in Hawaii and things like that for themselves. They're not helping it. They're not hiring anybody with that money. They're not using that money to improve the running of their businesses at all. Okay? So that's a lot of cases like that. And the government lost millions and millions of dollars. I mean, we did, because where did the government get the money from? Our tax dollars. Right? Either our tax dollar today or the future tax dollars of our kids. You see, that's how it works, you see. So helping behavior, if not done correctly, if not thought out well, is more harmful. And guess what happened? Guess what happened when you have that? Well, when more people buy homes, guess what that does to prices? Jacks up the price, right? Jacks up the price, and it jacks up the price for everybody, especially the low-income people. Then all of a sudden, you create a whole population of people without homes because they can't afford it. Now rent, like for example, in Southern California, average rent now is almost $4,000 a month. I'm not kidding you. Southern California. I am not kidding you. $4,000 a month. You know what the average household income is in the United States? Okay? It's about that much. Okay? You know, how people see, they create unintended consequences that hurts everybody else, the rest of society. It creates homeless problem, creates more. You see? So be thinking about that. Whenever you do something to help someone, thank you for for the goodness of your heart. But be thinking, what does that do? You know, it could create more problems than it solves. And you be responsible, for creating that problem that you have to face later. You don't say, well, I don't care. I did my part. I help. I don't care. And then you complain that the homeless guy just broke into your car, right? Or he camped out in front of your house. You can't. You can't complain about something that you created, that you have created. But did you know that you have created that? No, most people don't. They have no clue. But it doesn't matter if you realize it or not. You have to live through it, don't you? You see that? So again, logic up, people. Think before you act. Think about implication long term, not just right in front of your nose, on everything. Okay? With that, thanks for watching and keep thinking.